A frozen giant, the Greenland ice sheet. The Greenland ice sheet is a colossal expanse of ice and snow. It dominates the landscape of Greenland. It is the largest ice sheet in the northern hemisphere. This frozen giant holds immense importance for the planet. It stores a significant portion of Earth's freshwater reserves. If the entire ice sheet were to melt, it could raise global sea levels by a staggering 20 feet. This would have devastating consequences for coastal communities worldwide. The Greenland ice sheet plays a critical role in regulating global climate patterns. Its white surface reflects sunlight back into space, helping to cool the planet. The ice sheet is a complex and dynamic system. It is constantly gaining ice from snowfall and losing ice through melting and icebergs breaking off. For millennia, the ice sheet has maintained a delicate balance. However, this balance is now under threat. The planet is warming at an unprecedented rate, and the Greenland ice sheet is feeling the heat. Accelerating loss, a cause for global concern. In recent decades, the rate of ice loss from the Greenland ice sheet has accelerated dramatically. Scientists estimate that the ice sheet is now losing ice 6 times faster than it was in the 1980s. This acceleration is primarily driven by human-caused climate change. As global temperatures rise, the air and ocean around Greenland are warming. This leads to increased surface melting and accelerates the flow of glaciers towards the sea. The consequences of this accelerated ice loss are far-reaching. Melting ice from Greenland is a major contributor to global sea level rise. This threatens to displace millions of people living in coastal areas. The influx of fresh water into the ocean can also disrupt ocean currents, affecting weather patterns and marine ecosystems. The situation is dire and demands urgent attention. The tipping point, the brink of irreversible change. A recent study published in the scientific journal The Cryosphere has identified a critical tipping point for the Greenland ice sheet. This tipping point represents a threshold beyond which ice loss could become irreversible. The study's findings are alarming. They suggest that if the ice sheet loses more than 230 gigatons of ice in a single year, it could trigger a runaway melt. This amount of ice loss is equivalent to about 60% of the ice sheet's annual surface mass balance. It corresponds to a global temperature increase of 3.4 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. Worryingly, the world is already 1.5 degrees Celsius warmer than it was in the late 19th century. We are rapidly approaching this critical threshold. Section 4. Forces at play, stability and destabilization. The stability of the Greenland ice sheet is influenced by a complex interplay of factors. One crucial factor is the role of the western margin. This region, characterized by high topography, acts as a buttress, helping to hold the ice sheet back. However, the western margin is also highly vulnerable to warming. Increased melting in this area could weaken its ability to support the ice sheet. This could trigger a significant retreat of the ice sheet eastward. Another important factor is glacial isostatic adjustment. This is the process by which the Earth's crust rises as the weight of the ice sheet decreases. While this process can help to stabilize the ice sheet in the long term, in the short term, it can actually accelerate ice loss. This occurs when the rate of ice melt exceeds the rate of land uplift, destabilizing the ice sheet. Surface albedo feedbacks further complicate the picture. As the ice sheet melts, its surface area decreases, exposing more dark ocean or land beneath. These darker surfaces absorb more solar radiation, leading to further warming and melting. Section 5. Averting catastrophe, our collective responsibility. The fate of the Greenland ice sheet, and indeed the planet, hangs in the balance. The science is clear. We are rapidly approaching a tipping point that could have catastrophic consequences. The time for action is now. We must act decisively to address the root cause of this crisis. Human-caused climate change. This requires a fundamental shift in our energy consumption patterns, transitioning away from fossil fuels and towards renewable energy sources. Reducing greenhouse gas emissions is essential to slow the rate of global warming and prevent the Greenland ice sheet from reaching its tipping point. International cooperation is paramount. We must work together as a global community to implement effective climate policies and support vulnerable nations in adapting to the inevitable impacts of climate change. Failure to act will not only jeopardize the Greenland ice sheet, but also threaten the well-being of future generations. The time to act is now.